Hi everyone, I'm your host Diva Danielle, and this is Community Link AZ. Thank you for joining the show. This is the internet show that's a resource for you to people, products, and services in your own backyard you might not even know of. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode. Each week, I'll introduce you to someone who is helping to make a positive difference in the community. We're going to have some fun, learn something new, and connect in a positive way. Let's start the show. Hi everyone, and welcome to Community Link AZ. I'm your host Diva Danielle. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. If it's your first time, welcome. I appreciate you being here, but you know what you gotta do? You gotta hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode. Today we're talking about the foster care system, and this is a great resource. This is Candice Foster. She's the program director of Foster 360, and we're talking about something that a lot of people who've ever fostered a child knows about, but then there's a large population who don't. We're talking about when a child is in a foster system and they're 18 years old and they age out. Where do they go? What happens to them? Well, those are some of the questions we're going to get answered today, and we're going to find out more about this nonprofit. So again, Candice, I'm so happy to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
This is going to be a lot of fun because I've known people who have fostered. My grandmother, before she passed away years ago, would keep foster children. And the system, you would think, at this day and age, would have some systems and things in place so we're not in this situation with kids fostering out at 18 and having nowhere to go. So before we get into the details of it, let's tell everyone a little bit about your organization and why you're so passionate about it.
So Foster 360 is an organization that is dedicated to helping youth that age out of foster care between the ages of 18 and 24. And the reason why we're doing this is because when you look at the statistics, half of the youth that age out in Arizona end up homeless by the age of 20. Every year, 900 youth age out.
That's a lot.
In Arizona, and half of them end up homeless.
And you see them out on the streets, and a lot of people ask.
You see them,
Yeah.
and once they're homeless, they are at risk of getting into sex trafficking.
Right.
We talk a lot about drugs, and violence, which are problems as well. But sex trafficking is really a stigma, something that is very difficult to get yourself out of. And we really want to avoid this, for the youth that we serve. We have a housing complex in Phoenix. It has a capacity of housing 10 individuals. We are planning on growing very soon. And what we do is, in addition to providing a safe place to stay for them, we really work on the whole person, and that is something that makes us very different.
I love that. I love that approach because
Absolutely.
a lot of people just try to fix the one thing that they feel is targeting and the reason why, but it takes a whole complex individual to get to that situation. So you have to look at the whole complex individual to fix the problem and
Absolutely.
solve the solution to it.
Absolutely. The big elephant in the room is trauma.
Right.
And it creates behaviors and reactions that if you don't understand trauma, you will judge very poorly. And so our organization is highly trauma educated, and the idea of working on the whole person is to give that person enough time to literally change the physiology of their brains.
Because they've been inundated in a system that,
Absolutely.
and tossed around here and there, so once they're 18, they feel like they don't belong. Where do they go? And they're just put out.
And they have no resources. See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
The things that if you have children, you take for granted, things that you teach your children. They haven't had that opportunity. So they reach the age of 18, and society is expecting them to function like any other young adult out there,
Right.
but yet they don't have any of those skills, right? And so we talk about skills, but we also talk about behaviors, right? Behaviors, creating behaviors that serve you, and not being in that constant fight or flight mode, and doing things without thinking about the cause and effect.
Because a lot of people will see a young person out on the street homeless, and for various reasons, but if there's someone that was in the foster system and they've opted out at the age of 18 and they're out on the streets, their behavior is survival. So a lot of times it comes across as a bad attitude or laziness or not motivated, but these children, which they still are children, have been traumatized, and no one has addressed that and all the other things that they need to have those developmental skills so they can function in society as a young adult.
Absolutely. And the key is to give them an opportunity to experience what the different behavior is. So we are very big in modeling. We model the behaviors, and that is how they learn. It is science-based. We work very closely with the Arizona Trauma Institute that is located in Mesa under the leadership of Dr. Rolton, and we are educating ourselves on a constant basis to really understand trauma so that we can adapt how we approach these youth.
What did you have to do once COVID hit? Because everybody was on lockdown, things had to shift, and a lot of these nonprofits had to step up even more so. So what did your organization have to do to continue to meet the needs so these children who were opting out could still have the resources to either get them on their feet or at least give them a helping hand so they could get in the right place?
So for a few months we had, unfortunately we had to be, remote and do a lot over the phone or via Zoom. It had some, unfortunate consequences, absolutely, because you lose track of them, but we were in the first crew to go get vaccinated, and we took all the precautions we could. Obviously, being an organization under Mesa United Way, it is our belief that we have to be an example for the community. So we were very careful, but we are an essential service. When you have a housing program, you have to be there. It's like they're your children.
Yes, you're looking after them.
You are responsible. So we try to balance it, and so far we haven't had, knock on wood, we haven't had an outbreak or anything. We were very, very careful.
I love that. I love the work that you're doing, and I love the fact that you are a great resource. And again, this is why I do this show, to give you the opportunity to meet people like Candice in the community who you may have never heard of before, but we all know somebody who's affected by this, and so we want to do our part. So how can the community support you going forward? What do you need help with? Where are you at in your progress going forward now that we're slowly coming out of the pandemic? So how can we support you?
So we have a website, foster360az.org, and that is the place where you can basically subscribe for a newsletter, and my contact information is on this website as well, and you can reach out to me to schedule a campus tour.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
People need to see what work we do. They need to really feel the impact that we create, and there are so many different ways to help. I mean, fundraising is always something that nonprofits need, but you can volunteer. I have people who bring homemade meals for youth. We have a lady who just offered to come in with her pets so that the youth could interact with the pets, because it's a pet-free. Yeah, it's a pet-free environment. So there are so many ways. The list would be long. So my suggestion is always come on site, come on the campus, schedule a meeting with me, meet my staff, meet our residents, and then we can talk about what you can do. And we have a volunteer program in place, and people can basically come based on what they feel they can give to the community. I love
that, and I think that speaks volumes, because you can tell people all day long what you do, how they can help, and how you can move forward with their assistance. But until they see the actual work that you do and what goes into it, and the vast amount of things that you're doing to really help these kids have a leg up in the foster system, they don't get it. So taking a tour, I think, is a great way to start. So again, let's give out your website so people can start there, and then from there they can follow you on social media.
Absolutely.
They can keep up with you on the newsletter.
Yes.
So give that website.
So it's foster360az.org.
There you go. Make sure you connect with them. Candice, you were fantastic. Is there anything else you want to leave us with that people need to know before we wrap this interview up?
Yes, there is one thing that I want people to understand. Many children are very lucky to meet beautiful families who take care of them, and they go from trauma and adversity to safety. That exists. The system is there, okay? But not every youth is so lucky. That's what people need to understand. Some youth, they bounce from family to family. They change schools, like you would change
your clothes.
Right?
That's constant.
They get abused in some of these settings. The group homes, some of them are really good, but generally speaking, they're not there for the right reasons. And so I want our community to understand that when a child is the ward of the state, they are our children. And this is happening in our own backyards. And be on the lookout for those less lucky individuals that end up being thrown in the lion's den at the age of 18 with absolutely no resources and no skills, and they're left alone. And so if it wasn't for organizations like ours, they would be part of the chronically homeless population, and that is not okay.
That is not okay, and that's why we have Candice here on the show. So again, Foster 360, please get a chance to get to know them. Check out the website. Tell all your friends and share it on your social media. It's something good, and you learned something today that you can pass on, and that's what the show is about. So again, thank you for watching Community Link KC. I appreciate you, but make sure you hit the subscribe button. You make it a great day, and I will see you next week.
Thank you so much.